advertisement opposing U.S. tariffs that he said distorted the facts and represented egregious behavior aimed at influencing U.S. court decisions on tariffs. President Trump, in a Truth Social post, criticized Canada, stating that it cheated and got caught. This comes on as Ontario's Premier Doug Ford promoted the disputed ad last week in a post on X, writing that Ontario's new advertising campaign in the U.S. has launched. His administration has imposed a 35% levy on many Canadian imports, as well as individual tariffs targeting particular industries like car and steel manufacturing, by which Ontario has been particularly hard hit. Although Trump has allowed exemptions for goods that fall under a free trade agreement with Mexico and Canada, which was negotiated during his first term, it seems as though relations are souring for the worse. Mr. Raymond Vickery with us on the broadcast. Mr. Vickery, I have to understand from you, what do you make of this latest tariff war, this time now with Canada? Mr. Raymond Vickery, not with us on the broadcast. All right. Meanwhile, New York Attorney General Letitia James is scheduled to appear in federal court in Norfolk, Virginia, to be arraigned on charges of alleged mortgage fraud after she was indicted earlier this month by U.S. Attorney Lindsay Halligan. James, who successfully brought a civil fraud case against Trump last year and leads multiple lawsuits challenging his administration's policies, was indicted on charges that she committed mortgage fraud related to a home that she purchased in 2020. According to the indictment, James falsely described the property as a second home to get an advantageous mortgage rate, but used it as an investment property rented to a family of 3. The indictment alleged James collected thousands of dollars in rent and would have saved $17,837 over the life of the mortgage versus a loan at a higher rate. Meanwhile, Russia's top economic envoy has arrived in the United States for official talks just days after President Donald Trump announced tough new sanctions on Russia. According to sources, Kirill Dmitriev, the head of Russian Sovereign Wealth Fund, and a Kremlin special envoy are expected to meet Trump administration officials to continue discussions about the U.S.-Russia relationship. Dmitriev is expected to first meet with Special Envoy Steve Witkoff, although meetings with other U.S. officials could follow as well. The visit comes amid growing U.S. frustration over the Kremlin's refusal to end its war with Ukraine, and after Trump said he had cancelled a planned summit with his Kremlin counterpart, Vladimir Putin. This also follows the imposition of sanctions by the U.S. on 2 of Russia's biggest oil companies, Rosneft and Lukoil. Mr. Mark Sutherland, geopolitical expert, joins us on the broadcast. Mr. Sutherland, what do you make of the latest developments between Russia and the U.S.? Do you believe that the current meetings could bring about some positive developments?
Very good to be with you again. As you know, on the one hand, some people could say this is theatre. We've had Alaska, the meetings in regard to, it looks like, taking place in Budapest when Hungary offered that. Is that still on the table? Is it off the table? Then we've had all this threat of putting Tomahawk missiles in the theatre of war with a range of 1,500 miles, or anywhere between 1,000 and 1,500 miles. These threats, we're seeing all the drones against Russian energy infrastructure, but then the same against Ukraine. So there's a lot going on. We also know many months ago, before President Trump came in, because he said, I have a relationship with President Vladimir Putin. I'll get Vlad around the table, eventually get Zelensky around the table. I can sort this out in a few days, and very sadly, we have not seen that yet since the invasion of February 2022. As I've always said, when I have these delighted to have these conversations on NewsX channel, it's saying, you know, talk is better than people firing missiles at each other. But the problem is, We've got to get them around the table to end this war. And in between that discussion, the military actions are not going to stop. They are going to continue and continue until, if we get to the point of an actual end to this war. So it's not about suddenly having a ceasefire. It's got to go straight to an end of the war. Putin has made that very clear since Alaska, and of course Dmitriev as well, and the Russian administration has made that very clear.
All right, Mr. Sutherland, stay on with us as we shift our focus to more news. This time from the UK, where British Prime Minister Keir Starmer has welcomed Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky to 10 Downing Street in London today ahead of the Coalition of the Willing meeting. The visit is focused on strengthening international support for Ukraine and reinforcing coordination amongst allies. In the meeting, British PM Starmer has emphasized the need to press on Russian energy sanctions and expand long-term defense capabilities. Additionally, Ukrainian President Zelensky has warned that Russian attacks on Ukraine's energy infrastructure are escalating ahead of winter, underlining the urgency for international action. Let's listen in.
Yes, I agree with you and that Putin doesn't show that he wants to stop the war, and he really began steps in pushing us to such humanitarian disaster. What he wants to organize this winter is, of course, with attacks on energy, on gas, on water supplies. Yeah. It's understandable what to do. I'm very thankful to you that we are not alone in this situation from the very beginning of war, but especially now it's very important.
Mr. Mark Sutherland, geopolitical expert with us on the broadcast. Mr. Sutherland, I have to understand from you, where do you think the conversations and the negotiations vis-a-vis the Russia-Ukraine war are headed, given that the EU also continues to face a little bit of a stalemate? What role do you think the UK is hoping to play here?
Well, without me sounding too cynical, but we have to say this. Of course, any opportunity that Keir Starmer can look as though he's on the world stage and steer away from some of the problems that we have here in the UK is an advantage that he will take with both hands, because next minute he'll be flying off to COP, whatever number that is, in Brazil. We have always seen many photo opportunities of him standing by Zelensky, of course, then promising more financial support to support Ukraine. That's on the table, that's playing out. And as I have said countlessly, we need the two sides to come together genuinely. Otherwise, we could see even more of an escalation of this war on both sides. That could happen. And as it said, Zelensky recently, a few days ago, was talking about, when he was talking to President Trump, and Trump is saying, you know, this needs to stop now. We have a ceasefire now at where the Russian army is, where the Ukraine army is in regard to defensively, and then withdraw that line. E.g., President Trump was saying that whatever land has been taken, then that's up for negotiations in regard to the Donbass, in regard to Crimea, and other land that has been taken after the illegal invasion on February 2022. There is so much in this mix, and we have to work hard to go through the sort of theatre and the puppetry that is being played out. And remember that this is affecting people's lives, because on the Russian side, we've seen 1 million people die. We've seen all the devastation in the Ukraine, and also the many thousands of people that have died on the Ukrainian military side as well. And you know, within Russia, it's not doing their economy any good either. So all of this is in the mix. Yes, without sounding too sarcastic, if then it helps Zelensky to get round the table with Putin, well, then various people need to pick up the phone and stop this. And also, Of course, the Russians have sent drones, we think, into Poland, testing other European countries as well. There has to be a firm response to that. But we need the people around the table to have a discussion to end this now. Divinka.
Right, absolutely, Mr. Sutherland. Thank you so much for joining us on NewsX World with that perspective. And with that, it's a wrap on America 360. Keep watching NewsX World for more news and updates from around the world on the other side.